So we have quite a few questions now from our audience. I'm going to try and share a few of them, and then whoever wants to respond to them can. We have about 10 minutes roughly to answer questions before we need to close out. So I will start with, there's so many, I'm sorry. This was a question to Archbishop Howard. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, but I would be curious to know if any of you have some experiences or thoughts to offer. How real do global coalitions, how effectively perhaps do they address the problems that we're talking about today? Are there any examples of how global coalitions have been able to do this effectively? And perhaps one related question to that, how can we better link some of these global processes that happen at an international level with local action that are aimed at supporting resilience building in small island developing states? Do the respondents feel like these relationships are working? And if not, how can they be improved? So are there global coalitions that have worked? Are there examples of how they're working effectively? How can there be improvement in linking global processes and local action? Lisa.
I just wanted to maybe start ahead with a second question, and then my fellow panelists can fill in. I think it's a really relevant question, this in terms of the big global policy coalitions, or the bigger picture of the global processes relates to the action on the ground. And I think that's one of the sort of the challenges that we all try to face, and how do we match that? And the bridge between global and local, or action on the ground, if you like, I think could be, as we mentioned during this course of the seminar, the native communities, engaging with the community, include the community, include the civil society actors, the organizations, the citizen, etc., to really inspire them and leave some marks once you have done your process, or once you have done the global process in that sense. But I mean, that's sort of the theoretical answer. How it actually works in practice, I think, once again, emphasize on leadership. You need leaders globally, but you also need local leaders. Could be from the faith-based communities, could be from schools, could be from anywhere. But I do think that local and regional leaders are crucial to also translate the global narrative into adopted discourse for the local communities.
Thank you, Gillian. If I may step in, sorry, go ahead, Shalomi. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. You can go. No worries.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to go back to the issue that I mentioned. The increased multiplicity of and frequency of disasters right now, as we experience it in the last cyclone season, is a clear example of what does not work. When we are trying to build in, when we are trying to make the partnership work, we are being faced with a barrage of questions asking us to report on the previous funding that came through, when we're telling them we've already, in between the time, we already experienced another 3 disasters. So how do you expect us to respond and answer and be accountable for 1 cyclone assistance when we had 3 that just affected us? So the disaster preparedness frameworks at the international, at the multilateral level, needs to attend to that particular type of characteristic that is now appearing on the scene. The increased frequency and intensity and severity of cyclones is now a case for the SIDS to bring up, because all of the partnership and all the funding mechanisms are only geared for 1 particular cyclone at a time, right? That's a clear example of this type of partnership. It doesn't work.
Shalomi?
Yeah, it's. I'm glad we have so many examples from them. Actually, we have heard much about localization and the effort of UN and other major donors making public commitments to link directly with the local level institutions. So in Sri Lanka, we are yet to see widespread localization, and there are many remains of disconnections between these high level discussions and how these programs are carried out on the ground. So, keeping a practitioner perspective present in these international level discussions might help this challenge, that we see from the ground level. Uh, that was my experience actually.
Thanks, Shalomi. Yeah, practitioner perspective, local perspective. We talk a lot. You mentioned localization. We talk a lot about the localization agenda, perhaps in other areas of work like peace building, development aid, but it's relevant here in these conversations too.